Hello, everyone, and welcome to this very special San Diego Comic-Con episode of Dial the Gate. My name is David Reed. I am the host of youtube.com/dialthegate. This is going to be our 100th episode, and I want to thank you so much for joining me. It's a privilege to be joined in just a few moments by David Hewlett, Torri Higginson, Rachel Luttrell, Paul McGillion, Rainbow Sun Francks, David Nykl, and Robert Picardo, the cast of Stargate Atlantis. Stargate Atlantis went on the air, I believe, 17 years ago, and for 5 seasons and 100 episodes. And I wanted to bring them all back together for a very special reunion. It's been a tough, year and a half for all of us, and we needed some fun and some joy, and that's exactly what we did. So my thanks to the folks over at San Diego Comic-Con for making this episode possible, and I really hope you enjoy the program. Welcome all of you to San Diego Comic-Con at Home 2021, the Stargate Atlantis 2021 cast reunion. How are you guys? You doing good?
It's just like being there.
Yeah, I'd say it's about what? It's about a 60% reunion going on right now. We've got a
60% chance of reunion with
yeah.
Who else are we waiting for?
So maybe Flanagan may stop in. I'm not entirely sure. Rachel is definitely coming in.
Flanagan will call in from his phone on his surfboard.
I had no idea this was going on, man.
If he doesn't, I'll just play him.
Hi guys, there you go. Perfect.
On Maui.
So I wanted to go around the group and ask all of you how you're doing and what projects you're currently engaged in and what else is going on. And David, you're currently at my top left, so I'd like to start with you, David Nykl.
Oh, me? Oh, wow.
Yes,
great.
sir.
Thanks for throwing that one on me. Well, hey, lockdown, end of lockdown. That's nice. Looking forward to that so much. We've been pretty lucky here in BC. We got good first immunizations. I got one. We got one more coming up. So that's going to kind of mark the big end of everything. I only had about 2 gigs. It's been miserable. I've been acting, to a tripod and a tennis ball, and some very good people have been reading for me, including my wife and my kids and everything like that. So it's been good. I miss the conventions. I miss my colleagues, all of you. It's such a treat to see you all. Let me start off by saying that, most importantly. And it's just great to be getting out of this whole thing. So that's my general sort of state of mind. I'm looking forward to the summer. I've been doing a lot of construction projects outside of that here at the house and elsewhere. And I'm looking forward to getting working again.
I'm gonna call you for tips then. I got like a million things gone wrong in this house right now. We have a water feature in our living room right now whenever it rains.
Yeah, an inadvertent one, right?
Yeah.
Oh. Paul McGillion.
Yes.
How are you doing, sir? What's been going on?
I'm good, thanks. I'm being a dad, which is great. Little kids are 8 and 6 now, Hugh and Rosie. Yeah, doing good. Everything's good, busy. We just we're moving next month. Staying in Vancouver though, so staying inside Kitsilano, which is great, and doing that and working on a bunch of different shows. I'm doing the 2nd season of Firefly Lane is coming up on Netflix. So
yeah.
Oh, cool.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. So we're looking forward to that starting up, and yeah, everything else is great. Things are good here. It seems like the restrictions are lifting, like David said a little bit. And it's exciting. So yeah, doing good. Happy to see all you guys, even David.
There's 3 here, so you have to call us out. Yeah. Torri Higginson, welcome to Dial the Gate.
Hi.
How are you?
Thanks for doing this. I'm
Torri,
doing great.
Do the dolphin.
What? Oh my God. Flashback. I don't remember it. I gotta be drunk for that. No, I need a paycheck or a spotlight.
Yeah.
Or a bottle of tequila.
How are you doing? How's your show going?
It's good. It's a really lovely, easy, gentle show. It shoots in Montreal, which has seemed to become my home the last 6 years. I've just worked there so much the last 6 years. It's crazy. And I love it. I love that city. So I kind of have one foot in Quebec and one foot in California. And I weirdly find them kind of similar. There's a real similarity between these two. They're both provinces and states that live outside of the rest of their country. They have a very different vibe than the rest of the country. They have a different language. They're all chill. They don't want to work. They want to be lazy. They want to go to parks. They want to hang out. Like, it's kind of a very healthy, nice balance. So that's been great. But the show's called Transplant. We're shooting our second season. Sorry?
Habs, go.
Oh, there you go.
Hockey fan.
Go Habs.
Tonight.
That's right. Are you a Canadians fan?
Yeah.
You both are. I guess there's nobody good in Vancouver to root for.
No.
Yeah.
Which season are you working on?
We're working on season 2, and yeah, fingers crossed for, you know. And I spent most of the COVID year in LA and turning my garage into a guest house. So I was doing the construction hammering too, and that was fun.
Nice.
Lots of black nails, lots of bruising and cursing. Yeah. But
Lots of
good.
turn the water off quickly.
So, right, fast, but really so lovely to see all your faces. It's really lovely. It's really, really. I was surprised at how much my heart went. Oh.
Yeah.
So thank you, David, for organizing this. It's great.
Absolutely happy to. Thank you for all for being here. David Hewlett, what's going on, my friend?
I sometimes leave my basement. Sometimes that's basically what I've been doing. I feel guilty in that I've really enjoyed the lockdown because Baz and I have just got to geek out together. You know, he got me doing some more streaming, and I started doing my Tech Bandits Club online because the kids weren't allowed at school anymore. So I've been having a blast. And then Toronto, strangely, I mean, I was very nervous to go back to work, and a job came up, and I said to Jane, look, I don't think I can do this. I'm feeling, you know, and she's like, no, you can do it. So she's like, off you go. It's been, 8 months of not working. You better go. So I went off and did that. And it was Departure and a bit of Clarice and some stuff. So it's been good. There's been like, just enough work to keep me, I think, slightly more social. I think Jane basically forced us to get a dog because she was nervous that Baz and I never left the house. So we now have a new dog called Huzzah. So Huzzah and I do a couple of walks a day, and that gets us out. Well,
you're following health orders, Dave. You're not supposed to leave the house.
You're allowed to.
With the dog, you're allowed to.
No, you're allowed to walk.
And you're allowed to.
People in Quebec were renting their dogs at nighttime. They're renting their dogs out after the curfew, so other people can go out. I think drug dealers are like renting people's dogs.
So
the dogs are thrilled.
Is that a side gig for Ziggy?
Oh my God, that's brilliant.
I was trying to. Yeah, earn your kibble, dog. Get out there.
Yeah, exactly, man.
That's really good, actually. I'll just put a for rent sign on her then.
Yeah,
that's it.
Bob Picardo. I was kind of wondering which personality you would bring with you today, Bob.
I'm now a clothing influencer for Old Navy, as you can see. I applied for Armani and Zegna, but Old Navy was the only one interested, so that's part of it.
It's better than the dollar store.
You're referring to the dollar store is next, believe me. I have during lockdown, with little to do and no one to act with, I decided, who's an actor that I loved working with? Me. So I decided to make videos with myself. I play multiple characters. I now have nearly 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. So if I get another 38 today from this, it's going to be golden. I also I still do shows where they pay me occasionally just because I'm nostalgic about, the US dollar. So I've just finished work on the 3rd season of a show on Apple TV called Dickinson. It's ostensibly about Emily Dickinson, but it's the strangest kind of surreal mashup of Emily Dickinson with, 21st century sensibilities, with Haley Steinfeld playing Emily, who's just great. And I play her father's best friend and political consultant. So that's been fun, wearing all those period clothes and the giant hats that you wouldn't be able to see in this screen. They go up, like that. And I also have been playing a character for 2 seasons on the Black Entertainment Network, because when you look at me, you think Black Entertainment Network. And it's called The Family Business. And I play, of course, an Orthodox Jewish drug dealer. Life is eclectic and fun. And, when you wear a yarmulke, you at least get to cover part of the dome. So it's been a good, considering it's a pandemic year, I feel very blessed.
And can you play that piano behind you?
No, not at all. It's completely pretend. It's actually just a green screen. Here, look.
It's a Zoom background.
No, it's my wife's piano, but I'm proud of it. So anyway, here I am.
I'm proud of her for owning it.
You're proud of her for owning it and knowing how to play it slightly.
Rainbow Sun, welcome, my friend. How are you? What's been going on?
Hey, everybody.
Aw.
What's been going on? I've been in my apartment for a year or more by myself, and so I'm going squirrely. My only reprieve has been since work has been slow this year. I've been dealing and just renting people's dogs.
Nice work.
I got a nice stroll. Yeah, it's a good hustle. It's a good side hustle. I've just been literally alone, and so I'm going crazy, and that's no different than me normal, but just a little more crazy. That's what I've been doing. I haven't really worked this year, but I did work a lot last year, and a bunch of stuff's come out. I got a little role in this movie called Trigger Point that came out about a month ago, and with Colm and Barry Pepper and Laura Vandervoort and me, and it's kind of fun. And then an FX show called 9 Films About Technology. I'm in that just came out a month or so ago, and I have a really fun Netflix thing coming out, but I can't talk about it because it hasn't been released yet. But I'm excited for that as well. Other than that, I'm waiting for the next job. Who knows? I'm doing 1,000 tapes because apparently now my house is a casting room. Apparently, they don't have to pay a lease on the free casting room.
Yeah,
I was going to approach each of you with the question, but I think I'd rather make it a free for all and just kind of see what happens here with the dynamic in the group.
Let him
That seems like a
Gonna
bad
end in
idea.
tears, David.
Great
It's gonna
idea.
end in tears.
And go. And go. 17 years ago, guys. 17 years ago this summer,
Don't do that.
Atlantis went on the air. Is that hard to believe? Is it hard to believe that fans are still into it almost as fervently as when it was airing? Whole new generation has been born since then that are now watching it. This won't
people
end
no
well.
longer say things like, "I saw you on, you're in that show." They say like, "Oh, you're on that show my parents used to watch."
Yeah.
Yeah.
My grandfather introduced me to the show.
Yeah,
I really love it.
literally.
Grandfather, come on.
It's a tough question to ask at the end of a pandemic year, because literally, apart from seeing you guys here on video screens, I've done about 2 or 3 of these things where you see people on video screens and you kind of go, okay, there's someone in Australia, there's someone in England, but you don't get a sense of connection with the fans as you would normally when you go to the events. It's more sort of evidence online, particularly since there's this story breaking that there might MGM being bought by those guys, the monopoly guy, which
Amazonians.
that he's
Amazon, what is that true?
Yep.
Amazon buying MGM. So there's all this
from Sony.
There seems to be this. I'll just finish my point. There's this noise going on online that there's Stargate coming back. So there's evidence of activity there, but I haven't personally seen anything other than on screen, right? Because we haven't been anywhere. So the fandom thrives and survives, though, I believe.
It is amazing how it thrives and survives. And I think SG1 that went for 11 years, 10 years, 11 years, like that did a lot of the cementing of that franchise. And to me, though, it seems amazing that it's 17 years it feels longer to me. It feels like so much has happened. Like it feels forever ago. It feels another life ago.
Yeah.
Feels like high school.
It kind of does. And I look at pictures now and I go, I remember I felt old then. And I look at pictures and go, I look like I was 12. I look like I was 12 years old.
That's so true. I felt like I was old then. And I look back and go, oh, no, I had no idea.
I was.
Oh my God.
I actually was 12.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
You were.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, it's Rachel.
Good to see you, beauty.
Hi, Rachel.
Oh my God, you don't look different at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Okay, stop talking about her, guys. She's here.
Oh.
Paul wants to continue.
Oh, hi, Rachel.
Oh, hello. It's so great to see your faces. Sorry to jump in. Anyway.
Welcome to the party. What are you talking about?
Thank you.
Bob, I'm going to come to you in just a second. I do have a question for you, and then Paul. Rachel, how is Ridley? How are the auditions going?
Ridley's my little girl is blowing my mind. She's currently working on her second feature of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. She just wrapped a movie with John Malkovich a month and a half ago, and now she's working with Allison Janney, and she is higher in the cast list than I've ever been. She's number 3 on the call sheet. So so she's doing great. That's why, so I'm up here in support of my baby girl. Yeah. Yeah, so it's great. It's really good. It's good.
Well, I'm glad you could make it to the party.
Thank you.
Are you
You're in Vancouver? Are you in Vancouver?
I am. I'm in Vancouver.
Oh, that's so great.
Yes, I'm going to get to see Polly and whoever else is up here.
Are you done your quarantine now?
Yes, thank goodness. Yeah, we finished on Monday. It was
Great.
hell. We're all still alive.
Yeah.
Right.
Bob, did you know what you were getting into with this thing coming in for the 5th and potentially a 6th season of another established sci-fi franchise? Did you be like, was part of you like, do I really want to be known for science fiction and only science fiction at this point? Because that will really cement it.
I think that I think it's good to have had a number of credits before you start in science fiction. I think it's tougher on actors that, and I'm not speaking about anyone here in particular, but if it's your first major credit, in your late teens or early 20s. But I had already done China Beach and other kinds of sort of regular,
I'm feeling attacked.
Straight on dramatic
The
stuff.
Howling.
Yeah, but look at the bright
Wonder
side.
Years.
You're also 25 years younger now. I'm sorry.
Wonder Years.
Yeah. No, I had other credits, and I think that helps you from getting. But look, let's face it. After 7 years on Star Trek in my 40s, I was pegged I was a science fiction guy. There's no turning it around after that. You have a dedicated audience that really only knows you from that. So I had no illusions about that. I had already, to me, the interesting thing was to see how the science fiction fandom, because most Star Trek fans watch Stargate, and I think the other way around. I mean, there's certain, I'm always surprised when I meet a Star Trek fan who's never seen Stargate and vice versa, because normally there's a certain amount of crossover. They may have their preference. And I meet plenty of fans that love Stargate and are kind of, iffy on Star Trek. So it certainly goes both ways. For me, the odd part was just playing a character, as I said, who was introduced, who was so unpleasant. And then when they said they wanted to turn me into a leader, I thought, everyone hates me. I have no personality. I'm a coward. I have no leadership skills, and I'm a douchebag. And
This sounds perfect.
no problem.
It worked for me.
Perfect politician.
I wasn't necessarily describing my personal characteristics. It was the character I'm speaking of. But thank you for that.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, we've made that distinction.
But the writers were very deft in giving me little. I mean, probably the moment when Rachel's character handed me her baby and I didn't know what to do with it was the moment the audience went, okay, this guy's not that bad, because he means well, and now he has a baby, and now he's going to learn a lesson here. So that, to me, to play a character that was basically going to reinvent himself in the later stages of his career was what made it fun. To start that job in my middle 50s and have to become a leader at that stage of life, I thought was a good analogy for what was happening after the financial meltdown in 2007. There were a lot of people my age and older who had to go back into the workforce if they were already retired. So I thought it was an interesting time to play a character like that in his middle 50s, trying to completely reinvent himself. So that, at least that was the rationale I operated under.
Rachel, I was asking the others before you jumped in. When you came into Atlantis, how did you feel about SG-1? I mean, it ran for 17 seasons. You guys were coming in as the young upstarts, had something to prove. It was a little bit more, more itinerant, less fart jokes, like everyone is saying here. How did it feel to jump into this whole thing? And with you, it's an alien. I mean, she is human, but like you said once to me, she is unearthly.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to completely embarrass myself, and that's all good. I do not care. The truth is, I'm not aware. I had seen the movie when I was much, much younger and had loved the movie. I did not know anything about the series. I didn't. I really didn't. I came in completely naive. And so, which I think was really, really good, because I didn't feel the pressure to, you know, take on this enterprise, this huge fandom, etc. I didn't know anything about it, honestly. It took me probably until, I don't know, episode number 5 before I realized the impact of Stargate, and I'm happy about that. Once I did, the pressure did kind of settle in, but it took a minute. And then of course I was thrilled to be a part of it. But no, I came in completely naive. I had no idea. I had absolutely no. Yeah, and I remember our very first convention. Oh my Lord, have mercy! Right?
Yes.
I mean,
Was that Comic-Con? Was that the?
That was Comic-Con.
Yeah.
It was
and
crazy.
the studio took
4,000
us
people.
out and gave us all free liquor the night before. So I remember
yeah.
we all had a
We were in great
hangover,
moods.
like
Yeah.
only new actors with free liquor
Yeah.
budget would have.
You can always tell
Thinking
season
no
one.
right? And I thought no one's going to be at that convention because they're all mad at us because they think we're killing SG1. And then we walked out and it was like a football field of people. And
Yeah.
I was so hungover I couldn't speak.
Yeah.
I remember that so well. My first
I just
convention.
found pictures from that day.
oh my,
Oh my
we all
gosh.
look like we're lost.
We're looking completely
remember
just like
being
ashen
terrified.
faced, wide eyed.
oh my gosh, I remember being terrified. I remember sweating so much on stage because I was like, this is going to be kind of, and then like, I was sweating so much that I remember I just had to keep my hands plastered. Don't raise your hands. So I was like, it was so overwhelming. I had not a clue.
You know, I hear this routinely about people who, you know, have events in Ballroom 20 there. And part of me is like, why don't they prepare these actors beforehand? And then the other part of me is like, because they wouldn't go out on the stage.
It's true.
No, listen, it's very intimidating. It's very intimidating.
I think the thing that you got to get used to, or that we weren't used to, is that my moment wasn't Heathrow because I didn't go to this one, but the one in Heathrow when I come out in front of 700 people is you have to sort of develop a third person. It's like you is your private self, and then you're playing a character, which is what you're doing on TV. But this is like you and like a hybrid version of you, like you on stage and in front of 700, just talking about yourself, like sort of stuff that we're doing now. But when you first start doing it, it's like, what am I going to talk to these people about? What do they want to know, right? It is really daunting, you know. It's you got to develop the sort of on stage convention personality, which is like a hybrid between your character and yourself.
Good for you, David. I haven't done that yet. I always go on stage.
Well, thank you, Rachel. Thank you very much.
I'm like, no, I was just always like terrified me. Like every time, it's just like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, you know, nobody wants to see Bono come out on stage and go, "Oh, okay, guys, I just sort of, hi, how are you?" You gotta,
Right. They expect you to be on.
you gotta
develop
Do a trick.
a little bit of a routine for yourself, even if it's loose. It takes
That's
a little
right.
while.
That's-
But
It's
You're
a
right,
little like
Rachel.
stand-up.
yeah, well, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do about 10 minutes of stand up before we get started usually, you know.
Yeah, but we had to learn that. That was something I know when
it took a
you
couple
don't
of
train,
years.
the actors don't get told you got to go out and do this sort of stuff. You sort of sink or swim, and you realize the kind of questions that you're getting, and you realize, oh, they want to know about the pranks that were on set. What's it like to this? And then you get used to sort of the pattern that comes with that. But you have to develop that. It's not an actor's job. It's a publicist's job.
Yeah, and then
Paulie,
develop,
you mastered that.
and
Paulie
then you
got
develop
that down.
long form answers for each of those questions.
I remember
one of my first conventions in Germany, and the show hadn't aired yet. And I was talking to Teyla Rothbury, who is a master at doing conventions, and we're waiting to go on. They're introducing the actors to go on, and I was last. And Teryl's talking to me. I'm like, oh, I'm sweating. I'm like, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous, and she's like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Just go out there and just be yourself. I'm like, okay. And they announce her, and all of a sudden she turns into like the Energizer Bunny. She jumps.
Yeah.
She starts like tap dancing on the stage and stuff, and people are going crazy. And then they introduced me, and for some reason my legs would like. I was like, oh, I walked out like a. And I'm out there. I'm like, hi, and it's like they're shutting air there. It's like. And this reporter, this German guy goes, I have a question for Paul. Like it's after half an hour. I'm like, yeah. And he goes, your character, I had a chance to see the pilot is a very humorous character on Stargate Atlantis. You as a person, are you humorous?
Oh my God. I love that one.
Funny. And he's looked at me and goes, yes. Like that. Oh my God, I'm dying. I'm dying. It's so right there.
Some of those European conventions where they're translating you on stage too
Oh my gosh.
are just priceless. You talk for 15 minutes, and then the other person goes. They do like this 5-second rendition.
Right.
You're saying, doesn't translate.
It's like an interpretation of the answer. Jeez. I'm so thankful to fans who wrote in and submitted questions for you guys. Sarah Johnson, what was a facet of your character that you just loved or wished you could have explored further?
Everything.
Shocking that you say that, David.
Good answer.
What's not to love?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, it sounds cheesy, but I mean, I loved, like David said, I loved all aspects of Teyla. I loved all aspects. I loved.
You can really sing, that's for sure.
What's that, jerk? Just be quiet.
Circles.
No one needs to hear what you're saying right now. I loved all aspects of her. I loved that, they managed to craft a character who was strong, independent, intelligent, empathetic, and compassionate into, a woman. In other words, a multi-tiered, multi-leveled, diverse human being. She was a fleshed out human being, and that was wonderful to play.
David Nykl, you started off as being kind of McKay's counterpoint in terms of exposition.
Oh, really?
And
is that how I started off?
And
it never really
estimation, as a viewer, come on, guys.
Torri, can I follow you wherever you're going, Torri? Please?
Come with me, David. My dog's trying to save you. Oh.
Dave, Hewlett, he didn't get the black feather. Remember?
Here come the Hewlett questions. It's minute 20.
Oh, come on.
No,
But what I was getting to is that by the end of it, it was this multifaceted, relatable, hysterical character that every time you were on screen, it was like, oh, here he comes. What's he going to say? What's he going to be irritated about now? Or what's he going to have figured out that's going to throw someone else for a loop? The character really grew over 5 seasons, pigeons and all.
Well, thank you very much for that, David. I'm going to take the high road on this one. I like to think that I think they developed Zelenka because they didn't want Rodney to do all the tech talk by himself in a monologue. So they wanted a dialogue, a little Mutt and Jeff routine, and someone that was funnier and better looking than David. So they succeeded really well.
Not hard to find.
With that. How do you make the green square come back on you? There it is.
That was Beckett.
And again, I really enjoyed working with David. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of chemistry, and that was what was really cool. I wasn't in the pilot. I think my first episode was number 3 or number 4 or number 2. It was called 38 Minutes. And my first scene was with Torri. So it's a real treat to see Torri because you're someone I haven't seen for a long, long time. So
for ages. We don't do much convention crossover, you and I.
No. I haven't seen you for ages. And that was one of the first scenes I did. And I remember doing the scene, and it was the only scene where I had like a radio. I had to they didn't have the little thingies that I always took home with me. I have a whole shoebox full of because I forgot them. Those things had like a radio, and I was like, "Oh, please don't talk to me." That was the first ever scene I did, and just like you described it, like nervous, and I don't know if I'll get hired again. And I went to craft services, and Brad Wright was there, and I told him, I'm Czech because the character was written as a Czech. Did you know that? And he said, "Oh yeah, we did know that." So I think they sort of were going with generic sort of Eastern European. They found I was Czech. They named the character Zelenka, which means green. And threw me in scenes with Hewlett, and it was a pleasure. And then they put me in scenes with Torri, and that was even more fun. And then with Robert Picardo, and that was even more fun. And then with Rainbow, and that
right, you got to cover all the bases. We are insecure actors. You can't leave anybody out.
Love you all.
Say my name, but that's okay.
And Rachel! And Paul!
Whatever.
I think the banter though was they were good at banter. They loved their banter. It was
that was fun.
I loved the scenes whenever you got a couple of characters together just bantering back and forth. That was the appeal to Game of Thrones for me as well. Where they they ran out of time. Apparently they made the shows too short, so they had to go back the first season and figure out. And that I feel like, I mean, obviously the Stargate guys be doing it longer, and they knew that you can have some fun with that. I mean, that's
character driven, right? You can go high concept and space and wormholes and all that, but it's when you get behind the characters, when you start knowing their story, that's what brings you to it.
Yeah, all relatable too, right? Everyone can relate to certain characters in the show, like all the people like with the fighting character, like with Ford, and then with Teyla, and then Jason when he was on the show too, that aspect of it, and then like David and both Davids, people could find the character that they related to on the show, and that's why I think people really draw towards it, towards the characters.
Yeah, I always wish that they did some. I always wish that Ford would have reconciled with Ronan, and they would have had some sort of love affair. I thought that would have been really interesting if they had fallen in love.
About 10 years too early, though.
I think it's a real missed opportunity.
I was always fond of Ford's relationship with Shepard. There was a mentor-mentee quality there that even in that single scene, at the beginning of season 5, where he's dreaming under all that rubble, and he dreams of himself with Teyla, and then Ford just smashes into his mind and said, "Hey, I'm over here. You didn't rescue me. You failed. You're not as perfect as you might think."
That was fun. That was Martin Giro just was like wrote that in. It was like, "Hey, are you in Vancouver still? Do you want to come in for one day?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll take the paycheck. Let's go." I would love it. But let's not overlook Ford's relationship with Paul and Rachel, man. We had such a really those moments were really special to me. We laughed.
We laughed so much on that puddle jumper. That puddle jumper, we couldn't stop laughing.
We laughed so much.
It was so bad, that we almost couldn't be together sometimes. Just make us laugh.
Yeah. And the jumper, especially the jumper. Jesus. Yeah, my God.
But the thing is, I know you guys can all see, when they say, okay, like DeLuise especially, okay, the asteroid's coming at you, we're like,
oh no,
how big is it? How big is it? Or Mario has a party. Okay, Chief. Okay, this giant thing is coming at you guys jump, and then like someone would jump 2 feet, and the other person would be like, Joe would be like, move over like that a little bit, like there's no consistency.
Yeah. That was so boring.
They would say,
do it again, but this time with talent.
But that's one of the standard problems when you get your first job in science fiction is relating to the off-screen visual effect that you'll never see. I remember on the first time that happened to me on Star Trek, when I was supposed to be battling some monster on the holodeck, and I said, "What does it look like?" And the visual effects guy, who was a really sweet guy and very shy, kind of said, "Well, it's sort of like a giant pile of glowing linguini." And I thought about that, and I said, "Okay."
Oh, Beowulf, the Beowulf monster.
Does the linguini have eyes, or do I just look at the whole linguini? So apparently, I looked at the entire plate of linguini. But it's like everyone doesn't want to look stupid by going, like with the reaction shot. But it looks equally stupid if there's this ridiculous, terrifying looking thing, and you just look at it and kind of go, eh.
You raise an eyebrow. Yeah.
So
it is a journey of trust you have to have, and that's why the second season is so much easier, because then you watch it and you go, "Oh, those guys know they're doing some good stuff." So now I can really commit without that little bit of pride, ego getting in the way, going, "Do I look like an ass?" Yeah, but it's an interesting journey you have to make. You have to have a leap of faith and a leap of trust.
Looking back at episodes like Satita, which was just like a powerhouse for Jason Momoa, or the scene of that one guy, or the scene
whatever happened to that guy?
Who knows?
I think he actually left Atlantis and then came back king.
That's right.
Or the scene of Rodney and Shepard on the pier. That wonderful episode that Brad Wright wrote. It's an impressive body of work. There are some scenes between Teyla and Weir that are just so tender. I mean, you could see the subtext here that there was, these two were friends outside of just Weir's office hours. These were people that had lives. That I would suspect.
I'm glad you got that vibe. I didn't know that was, because I remember we were always fighting for more. We were always wanting. I always wanted Teyla to teach Weir how to fight, and And right, and I'm really appreciative that was as an audience that you received that.
A lot of us did. No, we got that she would, when the military comes in to take over for like the second or third time, the person that she goes to is Teyla. And that was the only explanation for me, was that she wanted a peer who she respected. And that's why that scene plays as well as it does, you know, where Weir can feel comfortable with enough saying, you know what, Teyla, I may not be here next week. I don't think that I can keep on doing this. And where she was, you know, she felt like she could be in a position where there wasn't any judgment from this person who was from another galaxy, who could, as another leader to leader, could get where she was coming from.
You know what? I think so much of that is because we all just had the most terrific cast. I mean, honestly, we got along with each other organically, easily from the get-go. So I think that just translated. It just carried forth into what we brought on screen. We were very, very lucky. You know, that doesn't always happen, but it happened. It was
care about people.
Right? I mean, it just happened. I mean, I had a fantastic relationship with Torri. And that just carried forth into, you know, our characters. And I'm thrilled that, you know, that as you said, that as an audience, you were able to see that. But I really do think that just came from the fact that we all genuinely enjoyed being around each other.
What memories do you have of each other that stick out after all this time?
I keep going back to that damn puddle jumper. They're running into the puddle jumper to see who's going to get what spot, and then the jostling around over where the seats are. And I mean, they were always like these, or those damn the scenes in the control in the
border.
Yes.
In the border, who's going to
get
first, or who's going to fold their arms?
Oh my God! Yeah, it was just
yes.
The arm playoff.
Who has the folded arm thing? Or don't forget the tables in the control room. Whenever there was an evacuation, they had that freaking thing that stuck out the side of it that would get you right in the lower.
Right.
I'm amazed that I had a child. The number of times I walked into that.
What the actual like that? How to design a room that, and you put the control room at the top of the tower where it's going to get bombed the most. I don't know.
I think people had a sense. What I loved about it was that the cast all had a sense of humor about it. Like, I mean, everyone. I mean, they took it seriously enough to do the job well. But at the same time, we just like, man, we laughed. Like, we just, honestly, of all the stuff I remember, it's just like those like belly laughs where you can't stop, and you're like, and you're feeling so fortunate for having a job, such a great job, and you know, you're in this. Vancouver was fairly new to me, and it was just like, it feels like it's like a weird dream, like, you know, it's. It was just, honestly, I think remembering the laughing was the best part.
And what's all the scuttlebutt about a new thing now that Amazon's bought it?
So Brad is still in development of his show that he's been working on for 2 years now. I've been calling it SG4, you know, because we all want it to be a continuation of the continuity. If Amazon is fast tracking it or not, or whatever, we don't know what's going on. So I'm just one of these people who have been telling everyone, let's wait and see. You know, Brad and the folks that are involved, you know, when it's time for us to start pushing it, they'll let us know, you know, if there is anything. But I mean, with Amazon picking this thing up, there's going to be something Stargate at some point in the next few years here. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, I mean, like, I can't imagine it having certainly me in it, but I just seems like crazy not to have, like, it's such a iconic franchise at this point. I can't imagine why they wouldn't like relaunch it in some way, shape, or form. You know, it's been really fun though. I played the RPG game. Rainbow, have you tried that? It's based on the 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, and it's really fun because it's
doing it.
They're set up like
Rainbow was with you.
Yeah. Oh, you did as well. Oh, right. Okay. Good. Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
You were the two in it.
That's right. Of course.
Yeah. I think it's actually incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible. That's been really fun. Honestly, of all of the Stargate stuff to come out since Stargate, that's the most exciting thing to me.
And what, you pick like a character and then you play as that character?
The Stargate SG1 role-playing game. It's coming out later this year,
but it's designed in episodes.
Really fun.
It really is
really fun. I had like no preconceived notion of what it was, and I had never played D&D, but I had always wanted to. And when we did it, I had the time of my life.
Did you get to
we
play as
did the
yourself,
first one,
Rainbow?
right?
Yeah.
Did you play
No,
as
'cause
yourself,
it's-
Rainbow?
It's season 6 SG1.
No, you pick your own characters. So it's set on a fictitious like outside of the beltway of content in season 6 of SG1. It's called Phoenix Sight, and you create a new character. David Nykl, I tried to get you on. I think you would love it. Torri, I think you would enjoy it too, and Paul and Bob.
It's
I'm not
actually
really good
really
at
come
video
back.
games.
It's
I-
not
That's
a
not
video
what it
game,
is.
Torri.
That's not what it is.
Torri,
it's
it's
Dungeons
all
and
just-
Dragons.
It's all imagination. It's super
Yeah.
fun. You would
You have a
absolutely
game
love
master
it.
there who takes you through the
Really?
story, and
You
then
don't need
just
reaction time to play this game, right?
No.
Right, because I
No,
draw
no.
the line at that.
It's,
Yeah,
it's a
actually,
good one for us, Bob.
Actually,
What?
Robert, you'd love it too. It's kind of fun. It's Dungeons and Dragons. It's like you enter a cavern. Where do you and people
Yeah,
are
what do
like
you do
doing
next?
voices and stuff and yeah,
It's
I mean,
very fun.
Turn
I
around
didn't
and
realize
get out of
Rainbow.
the
I didn't
couch.
realize you hadn't played it before because we did the first.
Mhm.
I couldn't do the second one, but
I did
but-
the
Right.
second one as well. I
Yeah.
did the second
Yeah.
one as well.
We'll
Yeah.
have the third one later this year, The Butcher of Abydos Part 2, and it's fantastic. Yeah, they have
we're
great game
we're at a
masters.
cliffhanger.
Butcher of Abydos.
Right. Yeah. So we had Alexis Cruz in a scene and Skara in the same scene, and that was real trippy.
Yeah, he had to talk to
Nice.
himself. It was interesting.
Oh, pay attention.
My thanks to David Hewlett, Torri Higginson, Rachel Luttrell, Paul McGillion, Rainbow Sun Francks, David Nykl, and Robert Picardo for joining us for this very special Stargate Atlantis reunion. I really, really appreciate you joining us as well, and I hope that you enjoyed the presentation of the show. Dial the Gate is available over at youtube.com/dialthegate. There are several ways that you can reach out to us. I'm sharing the information on the screen right now. We have live episodes generally every weekend, but I'm taking this summer off. I had a big move, and we will be returning in the fall for more, but there is regular content always being posted. It's only a matter of time before Amazon starts cooking on SG4, the next Stargate television series or movie, however that's going to take shape. Most of us fans are hoping that it will be a continuation of the Brad Wright continuity, but we're just going to have to wait and see. And either way, it's a great time to be a Stargate fan. My thanks again to the team at San Diego Comic-Con for making this possible. I'm David Reed for Dial the Gate, and we'll see you on the other side.